Australia has no business going to Iraq. Australia has to clean up its own backyard first.
That's not our war, and we should stay out of it. And we shouldn't be going to other people's countries taking over.
This government has got people so warped. They're forgetting something out of the whole equation here. They're talking about Muslims, they're talking about Iraq, they're talking about Osama bin Laden, about Afghanistan, but that's all done deliberately to forget about the real problems that are happening here at home, and they will never ever be resolved, and they're not resolved.
These Aboriginal men are Muslims. They say they're fighting their own war on terror.
The terrorist to me, as an Indigenous Aboriginal person, is the people now in the government, not the people, but the government, that is occupying this land. We were invaded 217 years ago, and they want to talk about terrorists.
There's nothing new about Aboriginal claims for rights and land. What is new is that now these men have discovered a religion that they truly believe understands them.
I really believe that the white Australian government's neglected them. No one's helped them. And those people, I feel, need some spiritual guidance. And I think that if Christianity is not willing to treat them like human beings, then I know Islam would.
And the Messiah will never be proud to reject to be...
Khalid discovered Islam over a decade ago in prison. Justin says he saw the truth while studying law at university. Shazad, a solicitor, was born into it. Solomon's introduction was at the workplace.
In the blue corner and still foundation.
And Anthony Mundine converted after reading the words of African-American Muslim reformer Malcolm X. In a climate of escalating fear over Islam, all of these men proudly identify as Muslims. And as a result, they're exposed to a whole new world.
The Koori reverts that I've come across, they tend to go towards Lakemba area and this Bankstown area, and the people they come under the influence of have a different culture, have a different background and a different attitude, mentality, you know. And obviously Arabic people, Lebanese people, Palestinian people, their country is the one that's been attacked and being oppressed. So they got a stronger attitude, and they support Osama bin Laden because he's their only hope, really. Otherwise, who else is going to help them? Society has marginalised these people, and they look for support and strength in this sort of...
Just as a human being. And the fact that I identify myself as an Aboriginal, I think symbolises that, in that whenever I walk around, I'm thinking, I'm an Aboriginal, I'm an Aboriginal. I'm not thinking to myself, I'm a human being, I'm a man. And so this is one of the things, and where the Muslim and the Islamic faith comes into it, is that it gives me that strength to think, yes, I am a man, I am a human being, you'll know better than what I am, and there's nothing you can do to me.
So it gives you faith on a day like today?
It gives me faith on a day like today, it gives me strength to endure it and not to get angry and to just lash out at all the things that we've been through.
Me and many other Aboriginals, leaving, Islam out of it, but just as an Aboriginal man, none of us really feel like this is our country, because there's no solid, reality that this is our country.
Shazad's story embodies the history of Aboriginals and migrants in Australia. His great-grandfather was an Afghan camel driver from Baluchistan who married a Yamaji woman from remote Western Australia.
a lot of the times they were on the fringes of white society, so they weren't allowed to camp in town. As were Aboriginal people, they weren't allowed to come into town. I think a rapport, a relationship had built up. Back then, a lot of the Afghans and other people that came here, they weren't considered Australian citizens, so they obviously they couldn't marry anybody. A lot of these were single men, so they married into Aboriginal women.
When Shazad's great-grandmother died, the family fled Australia to escape the policy of forced removal of Aboriginal children from their families.
My grandfather, like, he was 12 years old and he had younger siblings. The youngest was 4 years old. When my great-grandmother passed away, the Chief Protector of Police or Native Welfare were going to take the kids away. So my great-grandfather, knowing the struggle that he had to just marry an Aboriginal woman, that this was going to happen to the kids. So what he did, he put all those kids on a ship, sent them back to Baluchistan. So my grandfather got brought up in Baluchistan. But lucky for that is we maintained one strong culture, you know, being brought up over there. And people are Muslim, so they've been brought up as Muslims. So that's how it's come to me. As far as my Aboriginality goes, it fits nicely within that, because it's all based on how Australia is an oppressive state. No matter what we may think with democracy and, you know, the lifestyle, the quarter-acre block and all this stuff, it's still oppressive in many ways. And we, Aboriginal people, are at the bottom of that.
The Western way is, you know, every man for himself. Dog eat dog. You know, I look after mine, you look after your own. Where the Aboriginal native way is we look after each other. And Islam is exactly the same. We look after each other. So you combine them two together. Mate, that's a big army to fight against. And that's an army with morals and God behind them.
Can you ever see that sort of revolution happening here?
Definitely. It's so clear to me and the rest of my Aboriginal Muslim mates. It's that clear. When we talk about it, we've all got the exact same. It's clear as day.
They're well aware of the impact of their words, and that speaking publicly like this is risky. Interrogation and imprisonment are a real possibility, but equally unnerving is the threat of a public backlash.
We have to be careful on how we're portrayed, simply because people manipulate situations, they manipulate footage, they manipulate a lot of things. And I don't want to be manipulated. You know, I don't want to be turned into something that I'm not or we're not, because that's bound to happen.
I've been through the wars, man. I've been through a lot. The media is trying to, you know, I don't know if anyone has copped as more heat as what I have.
Sydney Olympic performance.
Mundine, who's a Muslim, took the opportunity to once again speak his mind on matters outside the ring.
But does Islam offer the solution, or just another set of problems?
I know of Aboriginal brothers who have converted who have been told by Aboriginal leaders that they're sellouts, that they had no right being Muslim. And these are prominent leaders who have phoned them up and told them this. And I found a few opportunities that I had prior to becoming Muslim disappear from me because of political allegiances that certain people had. But overall, on a grassroots level, it was well embraced because they saw that I'd given up alcohol, given up drugs, that I was living a cleaner life, and that I'd become more positive in my outlook on life. And then one night, while contemplating it, and I began praying to Malu, who was like a god figure in the Meriam belief, it came to me, a voice said to me, Islam and Malu's law are one. This is the final lesson for your people. I hope that I never give it up, and I pray to God that I never give it up, because it's just such a beautiful gift which has been given to me. I don't know how I'd survive or how I'd live without it. It's sort of like having food and water. It's part of my sustenance now, and something I need for my survival.
In spite of all of their difficulties, these men have staked everything on the word of God. With so much riding on it, it's yet to be seen whether Islam can deliver.